I wanted to show you Carolyn's new grow lights. It's been so cloudy here recently. Now it's cold today, so she has no choice but to bring the plants inside. They would have froze this morning. It's supposed to freeze for the next 2 nights. This is kind of neat. The grow lights I've always seen was some sort of fluorescent light, but these are LED lights. They're pretty neat. They don't get that hot. You can put your hands on them. I mean, they're a little warm, but definitely not hot. And they move like up and down like that. And so it's got a timer on it, different levels of brightness. I think there's 4 levels of brightness. Carolyn says she can't tell the difference, but she thinks she's got it on the highest right now. She's got her radishes and peas outside. She says those are winter hardy. So I tell you, I woke up this morning thinking that I'd forgotten to bring these in. I didn't remember her bringing them in. I was kind of panicked when I first looked at the temperature on my app this morning when I first woke up. The lights weren't on or anything yet, and then I remembered that she had the glow lights. So we woke up with a little bit of snow this morning. I mean, it was just a trace amount, but it definitely dusted the ground and the bridge here and the sidewalk. I don't know, this seems odd to me for what, April. I mean, this is kind of chilly. Then next week it's supposed to be up in the 80s, like 82 or something. And then right back down to freezing temperatures. I mean, this is just really extreme temperatures. So I'm going to go down here and add oil to the generator. This morning when it was running, because it's so cloudy, I decided to go ahead and run it. It sounded like it had a little clanging on tick, 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 like the oil was low. So if I were to try to start it now and put the oil pump on it, it would probably shut off from the oil low level indicator shut off thing. At least it's dried out a little bit. I mean, it's still a little muddy, but it's not that sloppy mud that was seeping down into the well, so I don't have to keep draining the well. I said a while back, spring might be my new unfavorite season, for lack of a better way of putting it. You know, usually it's somebody will say, oh, I hate winter, oh, I hate summer, but spring is tough on us. It's just bad weather, constantly bad weather, tornadoes, hot, cold, hard to keep up with the wood stove. The well keeps getting dirty from all the rain. Not complaining, I'm just explaining that this is a real shift from normal life, where spring, usually everybody's favorite season, is pretty tough. So I'm going to get this cover off. We'll put some oil in it, see if it's low even, I don't know. But I want to talk to you today about something Carolyn found on Facebook, actually, a Facebook group. But before I get into what she found, I want to tell you, I get a lot of comments saying I can't afford to buy a piece of property unless I get a loan, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And I always say, don't get a loan. Loan's a bad idea. You know, you're trying to be off grid, so you're not controlled by people like the utility company. But then you go and get a loan, well, now you're just being controlled by the bank. Yeah, that's really low. Actually, that's there wasn't right there at the tip. You might see a little. I don't know if you can see that or not. So yeah, my ears are calibrated to the generator, so I'll just put a little bit more in. Sure does use the oil. That's one thing I've never liked about this generator. I've had 2 others in the past. They never had oil issues. But of course, you know that I only paid $4,200 for this piece of property, and then I spent another $5,000 building a tiny house. I got a place to live for $9,000. And I don't have to have insurance. I've talked to you about insurance. I don't have to have insurance because if my house burns down, it's $5,000. Let's say I live here for 10 years and I have to pay, I don't know, $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year for 10 years. That's $12,000 I paid in insurance. House burns down, I only get $5,000 back. So it's actually cheaper just if the house burns down, I pay it out of pocket for me. To me, it's just not worth to have insurance. Insurance to me is just a scam. Never have liked insurance. I remember one time I lived in a place, I had renter's insurance. Well, I told you the other day that I got robbed twice in 2 weeks. They dropped me on my insurance. They wouldn't let me have insurance anymore. So I paid in all that money. I got robbed twice. They didn't reimburse me everything I paid in. All those years. I've been a client with them for, what, 20 years? Same agent, and he dropped me after paying all those years for rental and house insurance. Well, then before we bought this property, we had looked at a 10-acre plot, and it was close to being acceptable. I mean, we really almost bid on that one, but there was a few problems with it. It would have cost us quite a bit more to get established there because they didn't have a road into the place. So we'd have had to build a road and heavy equipment, and it would have just been a lot of money. It was $7,200, so it was $3,000 more than this, and it was 10 acres, whereas this is only 1.5 acres. But this had a well. This here has a well. It's close to resources. It's not so bad. I don't know. Carolyn and I just like this place a lot better. The 10 acres obviously would have been a better financial deal, but we just really like this place. So these kind of investments, $7,200, $4,200, isn't that hard to do. You don't have to have a loan. I mean, Carolyn and I saved up this kind of money, and Carolyn and I, within what, 4 years maybe, got me debt free. I owed $50,000 at my divorce, and so I had to pay all that off, back taxes, just a whole bunch of different things. I had to get my daughter a car, so I had to give her my car basically. I had to buy a new vehicle, and then we was able to save enough money to have a good retirement plan. You know, not a good retirement plan, but it's a start of a retirement plan, a good emergency fund. We started traveling. We was able to live off that money for a while I worked part-time online, different things. Really didn't make much money there until the last year that we were traveling. And then we were able to save enough money to buy this piece of property, build the house. Very inexpensively. We only spent $500 a month building that house. That's what our budget was. We just, okay, this is $500 we're going to spend this month. Next month we spent $500. Carolyn and I, when we first got together, we moved out of the apartment that I was living in into 8 acres on a little rock stone house. It was really cute. It was a 1-bedroom. It was just me and Carolyn. They wanted $350 a month. I mean, think about that, 8 acres. And we could do anything we wanted to it. We could have chickens, a cow. I don't know if they'd let us have pigs, but pretty much anything we wanted. We did get chickens, and we had a nice garden. $350 a month. Yeah, and you find these things quite often, where you can just get a little rental property. Some places, like this place, it had a well, it had everything we needed, so we didn't live off grid there. But it had everything you needed. You could have detached from the grid, I suppose. You know, when I lived in my first house, I owned a home, we got solar panels, and we kind of did a dual system. We didn't do a hybrid system or anything. We did a dual system where I had the grid that ran some appliances like the water heater and the stove and the bigger appliances that the solar panels couldn't. But then I ran lights into another breaker box. I had 2 break boxes in the closet. It's hard to explain, but I just took the wires from, say, the bedroom, and I put it into the solar panel breaker box. So it was kind of, electric was coming from 2 different places, is what I'm saying. Back then, it cost $10,000 to hook into the grid. You can sometimes hook into the grid. That was really expensive back then. But nowadays, it's not so much. But in order to get off grid, that would have been pretty impossible for us because we had a family, I had a kid. I wanted to make sure that she had every opportunity in life. So we had that place for $350. And what it was is some guy who had his mother and father passed away, who lived there. They inherited it. Him and his sister inherited it. He took care of it. And he just wanted somebody to look after it, cut the grass. And he never really implied that that's what you had to do. It's just kind of, I guess he just wanted somebody to occupy it. You know, report a leak if there was a leak, a leaky faucet or a leaky roof. He had put on a brand new roof. While we were there, it had a little carport on the side of the garage. It had a garage. I mean, that was really neat too. Had a little carport there. He came out and repaired all that while I was there. When we got broken into, the window was busted and the faucet got busted. And I told him I want to pay for those damages, so I gave him the deposit, which was $350. I mean, it was nothing. And so he did all the repairs that I should have repaired. It was my responsibility. The robbery, I feel like, was my responsibility, not his. But like I said, I lost my renter's insurance, so any damages to the house had to come out of pocket. So Carolyn sees these kind of things on Facebook all the time. So today she was looking, just scrolling through, and she saw a place on one of the Facebook groups, Missouri's Facebook group, off-gridders or homesteading group. So if you're wanting to move to a certain location, sign up on Facebook to a lot of these groups. specific state groups. So today she saw an area here in Missouri, 32 acres for rent. And he says, bring your tiny house, or I would imagine your camper. And it had all the utilities, the hookups, I guess water and whatever. And he described, the school district and how far the shopping was. And there was just a bunch of information he provided. Carolyn read it all off to me. I couldn't grab it all. So 32 acres, and he just wanted somebody to take care of the land. Same thing that we did for the 8 acres. And you find these things a lot. So it's just a little rental. He didn't say how much he wanted. Call for more details. There's a place just right down here. He never goes to a realtor. It's always in Facebook Marketplace. The same guy that sold this place. He's selling a place down there. It's got a little trailer on. The only problem with that place is it doesn't have a well. Well, he was going up and up and up and up in prices, and then all of a sudden he does exactly what he did with this place. He started coming down, down, down on prices. And so you wait him out long enough, he'll come down to nothing. He wanted $10,000 for this place. All the neighbors in the neighborhood said that's what he wanted. When Carolyn first saw it, he wanted $6,500. I think when we contacted him, he wanted $4,800, and we talked him down to $4,200. So I mean, he went from $10,000 to $4,200 within, I don't know, a couple of years. So he's doing the same thing here. I mean, I think last year he put that on market. Some of them will do the rent to own, but again, I don't recommend that at all. It's very risky because they want you to default on those kind of loans. You pay, you default, and then he's got all that money. So then he just sells it again, does it over. I really would recommend just saving up your money for 3 or 4 years like we did. So if you can check out this other channel, I'd really appreciate it. A little pop-up here takes you over to my other channel. So I hope I can inspire you to do your research so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.